Good evening, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here. And I have to say, I can't help but start by congratulating Mark and Michelle on the most fantastic students who have cooked the most fantastic meal for us, served it brilliantly. I can honestly say it's a complete first in my time at the CBI, and actually Donald just mentioned that I've got a bit of experience in smaller businesses. Our family business is a restaurant and hotel business. I know how hard it is to do, and I want the recipe for that starter, please. Absolutely fantastic. But the other reason why it is such a pleasure to be here is, I think, as Mark said at the beginning, bringing together business and education is one of the most important priorities that we have. And to be able to do that here in this wonderful setting, I'm really grateful to you, both Mark and Michelle, for inviting all of us here this evening, and for all of you for coming. There's a lot going on. I am actually going to talk perhaps a little bit less about Brexit than I might sometimes, but if it comes up in Q&A, I will answer to the best of my ability on where we are. I do want to really look beyond the immediate horizon because I think we haven't done quite enough of that in recent times. And the issue I really want to talk about is education in our country at a time of the most extraordinary change in wider society. And if there's one big thing we need to turn our sights to after we come out of Brexit, if we do, and we will, by the way, it is that. It is the education of our young people. But I am, first of all, going to do what I think many of us wish we could do in the rest of our lives and get Brexit out of the way. I'll just say a very few words on that. I've had a few conversations with people this evening already about how totally extraordinary it is that here we are 21 working days from the day that we may leave the European Union. 21 working days. Parliament still has agreed no way forward, and there is still no route to agreeing that. And yet, as the body politic tears itself apart, we do know, and we hear it daily, and I've been with you and with many members in the region today hearing it, you are having to prepare day in, day out, warehousing, stockpiling, thinking about regulation. Actually, some businesses I'm speaking to just can't prepare at all. If you're producing fresh produce, there is nothing you can really do. And the economic toll is growing higher by the day. Now, a little glimpse of sanity this week, I think that's how we described it, which is this idea of an extension that may take us until the end of June. But I think one of the things that slightly concerns me is that politicians are feeling rather proud of themselves for having achieved that. I think their optimism is rather premature because no deal remains on the table. It's not off the table, and the only thing that's going to take it off the table is some kind of deal. So we are absolutely clear that the route to achieving that has to be compromise. We are not seeing enough compromise. We're going to continue to be asking for it because actually, when this immediate crisis has passed, there must be recognition that we can't go on like this. This is no way to run an economy, let alone how to run a country. That is all I'm going to say on Brexit for now, but I will answer questions, and perhaps you can sense my frustration in my words so far. But I think there really is a serious point in all of this about how we do run ourselves going forward, because over the past 3 years, and it is 3 years, and actually Donna just made the point, I took this job on when the referendum wasn't even on the horizon. It shows, the job description isn't always quite what it turns out to be. But I think one of the things that we know is that Brexit has overshadowed many of our biggest challenges. And they are challenges that are rooted in some phenomenal changes in our society and the world of work. And I want to just pick up on three as a backdrop to some thoughts that we as the CBI have on things that do need to change. I mean, first of all, there is just our increasingly globalised economy, and the fact that employers, customers, competitors are as likely to be based in the next continent as they are in the next town. And where work that was once concrete and tangible is now increasingly conceptual and mobile. A real opportunity, but a really big change. The second is the scale of demographic change. Now, Cambridge, we know, is home to so many life sciences, brilliant life sciences companies, Abcam, AstraZeneca, Mundipharma, and it's thanks in part to companies like these that over the past century, every 4 hours, life expectancy has increased by 1 hour. Now, many of us can expect to spend a decade or perhaps even 2 decades longer in work than our parents did, and that is something to celebrate. It really is something to celebrate. But it does mean that the world of work is changing. And that really is the third point, how the workplace is going to be transformed. We do hear a huge amount about automation, about machine learning, about AI, but I still think that people haven't quite realised the scale of change that we're talking about. Now, many estimates that, and actually I've used these myself in recent years, that between 10 and 30% of jobs might be affected by automation. But actually I've been quite struck by a speech by the CEO of IBM, Ginni Rometty, who now believes that 100% all jobs are going to be affected by automation. Every job will be affected in some way or another. These are the things we should be talking about. These are the things that we need to be getting ready for. So deepening globalization, shifting demography, increased automation. They can be incredible opportunities, and I believe that they are incredible opportunities for our country. We're having a discussion on our table about what the CBI stands for. And I think one of the things we do stand for is optimism. We stand for what can be achieved. But the opportunity and that optimism can only be realised if we really do prepare for it. And so our choice of venue tonight, and I go back to our thanks to Mark and Michelle, the fact that we're in a place of education is no accident. And actually, this is no ordinary city either. You know, Cambridge is perhaps one of the most successful centres of education in the entire world. Colleges like this one, the University of Cambridge, Anglia Ruskin University, fantastic university spin-offs such as Cambridge Consultants and Horizon Discovery, all things to be incredibly proud of. And I do think that if we're to meet these challenges, these really big challenges and opportunities, we will meet them through the education of our young people, or not at all. It is absolutely fundamental, because only education can prepare us for a world that's more dynamic, more fluid, more global, more competitive, and frankly, I think much more demanding of human skills such as problem solving and creative thinking. These are the skills that are really going to matter, and the kind of higher level skills that only a college or a university can teach. And I do think we should hold this thought in mind, because amid all the Brexit sounding fury, and there's been a lot of that, last year the Prime Minister announced a major review of post-18 education, a really important review. Now, it's been described as a tuition fees review, and I am going to say, at great risk, something about tuition fees later on, but actually its scope is much wider than this. The Prime Minister's declared ambition is a system that better joins academic and technical education. Fantastic. It's an ambition that is absolutely right, and it's one the CBI 100% shares. But as an employers' association representing many businesses, 190,000 businesses in the country, we do also have pretty strong views of our own. So tonight I'd like to set out what our members have been telling us about their priorities for further education, and to say for the first time in public what the CBI has already said to the government in private. Deep breath on that one. So the first point is to meet the needs of a modern and flexible economy. The education system itself has to become more flexible. And it's something I have to say that colleges like this already understand, that gone are the days when we can expect people to begin work primed with all the skills they need to succeed in their careers, and then they stop. If indeed, frankly, those days ever were with us. Now we need people who are willing to go on learning throughout their lives, who see that once stark division between education and work can no longer stand. And it means that education is something the workforce of today and tomorrow must be prepared to return to invest again in learning, and crucially supported in that by their employers, perhaps even again and again. Now, this is not a new idea. It's not new at all. Often companies succeed because they evolve through education. They work with colleges to anticipate their future skills needs and together design the courses to meet them. We've seen it a lot with our members. But it shouldn't stop there. And recently the CBI has held discussions with the Association of Colleges to establish what more business can do. And there is a lot. Colleges like this want business leaders to get involved. That's why it's so fantastic you're here this evening. To design courses and curricula, to support teacher development, to ensure facilities are up to date, and to offer industry placements and work trials to students. We do need to lean in on this as business. I think it is our responsibility. And this college alone already works with over 1,000 of different employers, from the cooperative to the Holiday Inn. And colleges like these do serve them brilliantly, and that should work both ways. But I have to say, I do sometimes worry. I do sometimes worry that our colleges are not given the consideration they deserve, and that as a national resource they've been underestimated. Historically, our colleges have been underfunded, and politically, I believe they've been neglected. And frankly, post-Brexit, where education is a rare homegrown sense of strength, we can't go on like that. So I'm going to make a proposal this evening that I hope might improve things. But first, before I do that, I might suggest that there are lessons that our colleges hold for our universities as well. What if our universities could offer the same kind of flexible opportunities as our colleges do? What if they could learn from places like these and what they achieve? And if it became possible later in life to return to university, or perhaps even go for the first time and study for a period much shorter than 3 years? Heresy, I know, to some, but why not? It was George Bernard Shaw who first said, "Youth is wasted on the young." And I'd be tempted to say, and I think I'm very clear I'm saying this in jest, lest it gets reported, that tempted to say that perhaps universities are somewhat wasted on the young. It's not really true, of course. I had a wonderful time here, but there is something in it. And that if government is going to take the idea seriously, it will need to devise funding mechanisms to support them. Flexible university degrees, the chance to return through life. Why not? Yet I think there are two other things that we need to look at, and I've touched on demography. If we're going to be spending longer in work, we should surely spend longer in preparation for work, especially when that work is going to be higher skilled. Our own research shows that almost 80% of employers expect to increase the number of higher skilled roles in coming years. I've heard it again today in my conversations here. So at the CBI, we're starting to ask whether colleges like these could have a new role to play, whether the government should give people an entitlement to an extra qualification, a qualification that will sit between A-level and a university degree. Many other countries have this at great strength. It could be an apprenticeship. It could be a technical course based at a college like this one. It could be a year when different backgrounds come together. A profound shift towards a higher skilled economy. And if we get it right, our colleges might find their roles better recognised and better understood, and receive a new prominence in the lives of their young people and in national life too, as we believe they should. Now, of course, as in many things in life, that will cost money. And that brings me to my final point. Now, we know the government has been keen to respond to Labour's promise to end university tuition fees. And today I want to say something that we haven't actually said before in public. I want to say that if the government were to reduce tuition fees without a commensurate increase in funding across the piece, it would do profound harm to our universities. Really, really profound harm. It would do harm to our students and ultimately to our economy. Now, let's be really clear. There are areas where our country punches far above its weight, and we need to value those with every breath in our bodies. Life sciences is one, aerospace is another, creative industries, my background, is one more, and of course financial services. But just as impressive as any of these is our university sector. So just yesterday we saw the global league tables published, and 4 of the top 10 universities in the world are British. That is absolutely incredible, and we have many more behind that, close behind the top 10. Per capita, no other country is anywhere close. And not only do our universities educate people to the highest levels, they are also some of our biggest regional employers. They are peerless incubators of new businesses. They are vital if we're to reach the government's 3% R&D target, which is absolutely fundamental to our industrial strategy and our future. And they are incomparable vehicles of soft power. I was just with our ambassador to China yesterday. She was visiting us at the CBI, and she was talking about the immense influence that we have in China because we have educated so many Chinese young people. That is soft power in action. Altogether, our universities are a precious national asset, and they should be protected and nurtured, just like the US protects its film industry or Germany its car industry. And so I do have to say this: to cut university funding back further at this time would be a gross abrogation of responsibility. Now, I want to be clear. We do understand the politics around tuition fees, and we do understand that Labour has promised to end them altogether. So I have a message there as well. I think this is a time, particularly the time we are in now, to put down ideology. Look at the facts. Our tuition fee system is not perfect, and there are things that can be done to make it work a lot better. The cost of living while studying can be a challenge. But the one great virtue of the tuition fee system is how it makes university both good and accessible to everyone, including students from disadvantaged backgrounds. And look at the facts. It is working. We now have greater participation in universities amongst young people from poorer backgrounds than at any time in our history. And there is, we feel, a real and present danger here that if politicians fan the flames of fear about the cost of university, they could end up deterring the very people, the very young people, who could most benefit from university and cause them needless harm. So, in conclusion, and I'm aware I'm between you and pudding, so I will conclude. So, a few things. Let's get Brexit out of the way so we can move on and have the bigger conversations that we must have. Let's end the neglect and underfunding of our further education system. Let's have a really honest debate drawn from the facts. And frankly, as businesses, many of us in the room, let's make the most of our universities and colleges. Let's work with them, invest in them, and let's consider the entitlement to an extra year or two of education in a world where skills are going to be everything. And above all, let's protect and celebrate the sector, one of the biggest competitive advantages the UK has, a true jewel in our national crown. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, so we welcome. Anybody get any questions for Carolyn? Sorry, one over there. We've got a microphone we're going to bring to you.